Hey guys, today is gonna be a VFD talk. I got a 1 horse motor right here on my coolant pump, and this motor, this case, let's just say you have a motor like this, a 1 horsepower, and you only want to order a VFD at 1 horsepower also. So you're gonna be right on the edge in between motor and VFD, right? So this one is a 3.2 amp. I will say maximum load on that motor, or at 1 horsepower, 200 volts to 230 volts motor. Uh, and I got a VFD also, a 1 horse, besides the one I'm actually gonna run, but I'm gonna show you a trick because I know there's some people out there having VFDs, and some people complain about not having enough power. Uh, so the torque on a VFD, the power on a VFD normally comes. Uh, Having torque at low RPM means you're gonna have voltage at low RPM. Organize this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so like I said, the torque on a VFD, normally low RPM torque comes when you reach your limit of voltage even at low RPM. So let's say we're gonna put 200 volts at 30 hertz, right? The way they do that on VFDs is something called, you're gonna find it on every VFD, well, that I know, maybe not all of them, but every VFD that I know has something called base frequency. And that's something, if you see in here, I got VFDs everywhere in this shop. Everything here is 3-phase. That's something I always go to. That's my go-to when I first pull a VFD out of the box. I always go to my base frequency, and that is the first thing that I touch over there. Because depending on what I'm gonna do with it, I want to play with that base frequency. I want to gain torque at low RPM or not. In this case, we got a 1 horsepower motor that is gonna run a coolant pump that was being run by a 3/4 horsepower motor. So we got a 1/4 horsepower motor on that pump, so we don't have to push it that much. We know that motor is going to be able to run that pump pretty good, but it's still a 1 horse motor, and we only got, let's just say we only got a 1 horsepower VFD. For whatever reason, we didn't want to pay a little bit more money. So and I am gonna run this one, even though I bought 2 new ones at 3 horse for the coolant pumps. I'm not gonna run this one now. I'm gonna test myself, and I'm just gonna cut a hole here, and I'm gonna put this one here. This one is gonna run that until it burns. We'll see what happens. But I haven't had any problem with VFDs yet, doing it this way. So just for give you an idea, I'm gonna open somewhere here so you see what I'm talking about, and I hope you get what I find. You see a voltage over there. So right now I'm gonna put it on voltage, AC. My incoming power. Oh, wait. I'm doing this wrong. You see it over there? I don't want to blow this up, okay? My incoming power is 247 volts. I hope you see it over there, right? And this VFD set it. Let's just say I'm gonna set it back to how it came from the factory. So from the factory, it was a 50 hertz, not even a 60 hertz. From the factory, it was on PN. Oh wait, PN3. Let me make sure. I don't want to mess this up. PN3 is base. Okay, PN3 is base. So I'm gonna get inside base. And I already got it on 70 because I already fixed it, right? But I'm gonna put it to what it was. It was 50 hertz. Save and lock. PM4 is upper limit frequency. I'm gonna get in there too. Shift to it. Come on, shift. Down to 50. Save and lock. PM5, highest and upper frequency. Upper frequency, it's probably gonna be saved already to 50. But anyway, I'm gonna get in there. Yeah, it already, you know, when you do the highest to 50, it's gonna drop down the maximum to 50. I believe that's it. That's gonna be it. So I'm gonna come out of there and run this motor. If you hear that noise, I don't even like it. See, the whining on that motor, they're making some noise, and I'll show you why they're making that much noise in 1 second right now. Hold this up again. There. So hopefully you hear it again. You hear that? That whining is making a lot of noise. I'll show you why. So the first thing is, and this is the way it came from the factory. I didn't do nothing. It's, you know, it's set up at 50 hertz, just like my other ones here, but I already fixed my base frequency, and that's what I want to talk about. Let me turn it on again. You hear that? So my outcoming power, if you see it over there, is 233 volts. So I'm putting right at 233 volts to that motor, but I'm also putting right at 4 amps, 3.9, 4 amps, 4 point something out to that motor. So I'm putting more power out of that motor than what it actually was made for, right? Let me stop it. It just make a crazy whining noise. And the easiest way to fix this problem, and for me the only one I found, is base frequency. Remember this, because this is the reason for this video. You can hear some motor making a, you know, that frequency noise on the windings inside, and it's because your base frequency is wrong depending on the load on your motor. So besides, this VFD was made for 4 amps, to put out 4 amps only, and it's actually putting 4.2 sometimes. So either the VFD is going to burn or the motor is going to burn. I will say the VFD is going to burn before the motor, because we are right on the limit on it. This 1 horse, 750, and that's also a horse. But I will say the motor is going to hold a little bit better than this VFD. But the only thing you have to do is you go to your manual and you find where is your, I'm going to get shocked with this stuff. You find where your base frequency is anywhere on your manual. This one is P03, P0003, 00, yeah, 00. So you go to your VFD, get on your setup or whatever, settings, and we go to 3. Hopefully you're seeing this. You get inside 3, and that is your base frequency. So what happening here is the VFD is using those 50 hertz on our base frequency to spread out our 200 and something volts that we got on our main power, right? Our main power is 240, whatever, but it's trying to put out those 230 volts. Now, there should be a way inside the settings that you can change your voltage, but sometimes there are VFD like this one, it doesn't have voltage control, even though it says here, because what they say is the output voltage is going to be whatever incoming power can, it's on it. But there's a way to go around it, and it's going to your base frequency. So the base frequency is pretty much a divider or a multiplier on your voltage. So what we do is we got 50 hertz, our maximum speed, or hertz are going to be 50. If we go with our base frequency over to 50, that means by the time we reach 50, we are full voltage. So what do we have to do? We got to spread out, create a longer base frequency, and that way we're gonna, by the time let's say we put it on 60, by the time, if we put our base frequency on 60, when we hit 50, we didn't reach to the maximum power, we're still running 50 hertz. I mean, to the maximum voltage, and we're still running 50 hertz. And I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna show you the amperage, how the amperage is gonna drop down, and the voltage is gonna drop down, and we're gonna save the VFD from failing or the motor from failing the way I'm gonna do it now. So we on base frequency, we already in here, so I'm gonna just shift to change that number to a higher number, and I'm gonna put a 60. Just put a 60 on it, just for to play with this. And I'm gonna log out of there, and I'm gonna exit again, and I'm gonna run it again. Just the noise on the motor already changed it. And our power, hopefully you see it over there. I don't know if you can. Our power dropped to 199 volts. Hopefully you see it over there. 200 volts, 199, right? And besides that, I haven't tried on 50 because I always go straight to 60 hertz when I first pull them out of the box. But our amperage, hopefully you see it over there, it went down to 2.3 amps instead of 4. So right now, this VFD is almost 50% of power capacity, and the motor is also 50% almost of power. It's actually at 60% or 65%, 70% of power capacity, because that motor was at 3 point something amps at full load. So that doesn't mean when you start making power it's not going to change, but here you see how the base frequency just saves my VFD from getting hot or burned or or destroyed in a little amount of time, just by changing the base frequency. The other thing that will help you is try to run your motor on a higher frequency than oh, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna go back to something. Let's just say so in that case I was trying to save the VFD, right? Because this VFD was only a 4 amp. It is only a 4 amp, but I was running it right at 4 amp when I was at 50 hertz on base and 50 hertz on maximum frequency. So let's say I got a bigger VFD like this one. It's a 3 horse versus a 1 horse motor. So I can either push the motor by lowering the base frequency. What I mean is I can put it to 50 or lower, and what happens is when that motor, let's say, for example, I'm gonna try it on this one. Let's just say I try come on, go to my base frequency, and I get in here, and I already changed it to 60, right? So we can have, let's say it came the factory on 50. If I want more torque at lower RPM, what I'll do, I will lower my base frequency. So what happens is if I lower my base frequency, by the time the VFD reaches 30 hertz, like I just put in here, I'm gonna have full voltage. That means it's gonna have a lot of power at low RPMs. So a lot of power at low RPM means you got to change your base frequency. Less power at low RPM all the way around, more frequency. But you also going to have the same power at, on the high end, pretty much, if you set it the right way. That also depends on what kind of load. But if you got a big VFD and you're not worried too much about the motor, you can push your motor changing your base frequency. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. Anyway, I'm not going to base frequency. Well, I changed it. I almost messed up over there, so let's shift. I'm gonna put it to 70 for a reason. 60, 70, locking out. I get on 4. I'm gonna go, because I always run 60 hertz on most of my motors. Save and lock. And 5, I'm also gonna, which is my maximum, come on, it's also 60, save and lock, and come out of there, and let's just run it. See how that motor sounds? There's no whining on it, just blowing it. And that motor at 60 hertz, voltage, hopefully you're seeing this, 60 hertz is at 206 volts, so it's right on parameters over there, because it's from 2 to 230. And also my amperage is 1.5, 1.6 amp, and I'm still running at 60 hertz, so I'm running faster, and my VFD is gonna leave, and my motor is also gonna leave. Okay guys, so I hope you got some information, some good information out of this video. I'm gonna stop it right here. I gotta work, and I just wanted to show you that I am gonna put this one here, and I'm not gonna put the bigger ones for now. If this one fails, then I put the bigger one, which I want to put them somewhere here, on this space that I got here. I bought 2 of them. They were supposed to be my coolant pump, but I have these 2 already, like these ones, and I think it's gonna look good if I put it here. So I'm gonna do it over there. I'm gonna run it the way I've just set it up, that you saw me doing it, and we're just gonna see what happened. Thank you so much for watching, and play with your base frequency. That's one of the most important things inside the VFD. Thank you guys. Bye. Good day.